Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back to the channel, second video of the day, and this time to debrief the words of Thiago Motta in press conference pre-Empoli Juventus. Ragazzi, I know that what we are reading, what is reporting, but also if we are watching and listening to the press conference of Thiago, it's way less interesting, can we say, than the seasons before. You don't have these big, huge titles. We don't even know who will play tomorrow, who will be a starter tomorrow. And that's something that we need to get used to. But nevertheless, I really watched it twice to really understand. One time writing down, translating, one time also watching the non-verbal. And actually, I want to go through the press conference of today together with you. Some micro topics that we need to cover, but especially macro topics. And that's why I'm really curious to read you. So I'm expecting from you that you share with me your opinion about these topics. Don't forget to put a maximum of like and also to subscribe to the channel. We are at 33,598. I don't like that number. I prefer 33,600. So I'm waiting for you guys to do the basics of the channel for the survival channel to make it grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Now that we said that, now that we introduce it, no, I will not start with the strange question of the day from Gazzetta dello Sport about Adrien Rabiot. We come back on that. But first, the recap. First of all, I repeat, Thiago Motta looks like he really hates the press conferences, and that one. Pay attention, Thiago. That's the first thing that I really want to tell you if you're watching the channel. Pay attention. Don't create unnecessary enemies. We already have enough and a lot of enemies. I mean, the behavior that is extremely cold, unfriendly, writing, sometimes taking the pen before the journalist is or is asking the question. You know, putting a barrier is good. You don't have to be friends with all of these journalists, but pay attention. Pay attention because sometimes it's not even necessary to create an even bigger barrier, to create enemies where you don't need them. You know, a smile from time to time is not bad. You know, that's what I would tell you. Of course, you need to answer them how you think it's best. But if it's not necessary, pay attention. That's what I would say to Thiago Motta. What I would blame today Thiago Motta in press conference, sometimes there is really a total different Thiago Motta than what we are seeing. A really familiar, friendly people manager in training session with his boys. Someone that in press conference after the game, so the post-game press conference is really close. In pre-game, pay attention. Unnecessary, it makes no sense. That's one. Then, we don't even receive any tips about the starting lineups. I already told you in the intro. I know, and that's a discovery I made, I know what is writing Thiago Motta. Or at least I try to guess what he wrote. Pay attention, I will reveal you at the end of the video. And then I need to tell you that I was worried a lot about the game of tomorrow against Empoli. Well, that press conference of Thiago Motta reassured me, gave me a lot of certainties, confidence that I know that we know what to do against Empoli tomorrow. So I'm really happy because thank you, Thiago, for that one, because if I was a bit uncertain, I was not sure, you were able to transmit me a bit of strength on that one. So great. Let's go to the question of the day. Gazzetta dello Sport with journalist Cornacchia that asked a question. Rabiot has still no team at the moment. You always called him Adrien because you were teammates. Firstly, are you surprised that he has still no team at the moment? Secondly, if Rabiot would come or call you and say, look, Thiago, I regret, are the doors still closed? Or could they reopen for Adrien? It was the 13th question on 14. I mean, I don't understand it. That's immediately the reaction I had on Twitter writing, it's unreal. What a strange question. It makes totally no sense. We are on the 13th of September. We are the day before Empoli. We start back. Serie A. Juventus is on top of the ranking at the moment. We are preparing also Champions League, etc., etc. I don't understand it, especially in a moment where we have a lot of midfielders with Cope Manners, Douglas Luiz, Kefren Thuram, Locatelli, Fagioli. You know, I'm more interested to know the physical condition, the mental condition, the tactical condition of Nicolo Fagioli, that played already 2 games from the start with Thiago, than knowing about Rabiot. Who cares about the Rabiot situation at Juventus today? So I think it's totally out of proportion. The answers of Thiago were, it's too many ifs. Secondly, he didn't call me. And thirdly, I said it already. I wish him the best. He took a different path, a different decision. I hope that he can find a team where he can show his immense qualities. Basta. He closed the chapter here. Now, you know that if I see that we can blame Gazzetta dello Sport, I will be the first one to jump on that one. But pay attention, because if we are just looking at what has been reported on the internet, how people translated it, how people reported it, what we are speaking about, it's true that we have no big titles, we have no big arguments. You remember yesterday we made a title together in the live about Conceição, and people told me, Beppe, fast and serious. Or the titles of today that came out of it was, I have the same ambition as Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. Even if it was right or not, but anyway, Cristiano Ronaldo is one that is selling papers. Well, today, it's true that if you're just going through the press conference, there is no big title. Gazzetta, I think that they were looking for that title. Because it's true that if we are speaking about football, pure football, about Empoli, the low block, tactical part, etc., about Malé, about Pellegrini, and so on and so on, will they sell papers tomorrow? Will they be able to put Thiago Motta, his words, on the first page of tomorrow? I don't know. So sometimes I'm asking myself, were they obliged to ask that question? Are they obliged to try to go with a big title? Because it's also the consumer, the tifoso, the supporter that is asking that, because we are always blaming the media. And I read a really interesting article thought of my friend Colpogobo that I totally agree with, when he's saying sometimes it's not only the media that is to blame, but also ourselves, how we are consuming football. Are we ready to speak only about football, only about the words of Thiago Motta, the press conferences? Are we ready for that? Look, if we are looking what the different sport channels were to in the last 10 days, 12 days in international break, I'm not sure. We go from 7,000-8,000 viewers per video during the Mercato. Will Cope Manners join? Will he not join? What about Sancho? What about Kostic? What about Federico Chiesa? Where we go towards an international break, where we can start discovering, speaking a bit more tactic, what we saw in the first games, and we all disappear. So I'm not sure if it's only the media to blame on that topic. So it's a food for thought, let's say. Let me know your opinion about that macro topic. Now that we went through that, it's still a stupid question. Honestly, I think it's a question that I don't understand. Why are you speaking about Adrien Rabiot? Unreal. Anyway, the first questions were about Empoli, about the calendar. Because, of course, I told you, Empoli, we can't do a slip. We can't slip on that game, because then we have PSV, then we have Napoli. Pay attention, a lot of players, I made a video about it, are lacking maybe a lot of experience in 3 games in 1 week, because that's what we'll do, 3 games in 7 days. He said, no excuses. We know the calendar. We always knew the calendar since the beginning. Tomorrow is a serious game versus an informed Empoli. We prepared the game with full team in the last 2 days. So it's not taking it as an excuse. He said, more games a week, is it different for me, to how we prepare it? He said, no, we train, we play, we rest. Then he spoke about Empoli. Speaking about tactics, he said Empoli low block and the counters, because that's what they did, for example, against Roma, where they beat Roma, 73% ball possession to Roma. He said that's a really interesting analysis that you made to the journalist. So he was really happy about that question about tactics. He said we must create and we must finish, but when it's not the case, we need to defend the transitions of Empoli. And that's where you really understand his vision of playing. We want the ball, we want to create, we need to finish, we really must finish, which sometimes we are lacking it. And if it's not the case, pay attention, not being an unbalanced team that is only thinking about go up, giving all that space to the opponent. So, beautiful one. And then he said, Empoli, pay attention, because they created a lot of troubles, a lot of problems to all the opponents that they are facing. What about the mini block? Do we really need to think about game per game, or step by step, or is it also possible to now start to think about mini blocks? Empoli, PSV, Napoli. He said, no, tomorrow. The first word that he said is tomorrow. Watching, looking there, in the eye, probably in the soul of the journalist, tomorrow. Tomorrow. The other games, we have time to speak about them, to prepare them. Focus is tomorrow. Colombo, Pellegrini, Mala, the 3 players that he immediately said when speaking about Empoli. We need to focus on these guys, not the other games, otherwise we are in trouble. What about 1 month now with Thiago Motta, with my ideas? Is the team really starting to understand them, to apply them. He said, look, I'm extremely happy. The team is confident about what we are doing, about the fact that we can play a game that can bring us points, results, which at the end is what really matters. And it's not the first time that he's repeating it. Hey guys, you're in a club like Juventus, vincere non è importante, è l'unica cosa che conta. Winning is not important, it's the only thing that matters. And that's something that really is starting to say more and more and more. Playing, yes, but you need to win. Pay attention. But we have a common idea. Empoli is different, but we know what to do. And when he said we know what to do, that's where he really reassured me. This is really when he reassured me about, okay, tomorrow we go at Empoli in their stadium. We know what to do. Then in football, everything can happen. But pay attention, I'm confident about that. And then he spoke about the single players. And again, there, I have some questions for you. What about Danilo? First question, I think it was from Camilo De Michelis, where he said, it's an important player to us. Waiting. And then he said, as a lot of players in our team. With Brazil, he played as a fullback. He can also do that work as a central player, as a center back. From game to game, we will see what the team needs to be competitive. Look, I was thinking about that answer, and I don't have a great feeling about Danilo starting tomorrow. Then maybe I can be wrong. Looked like an answer like, you know, when you're saying like, hey, it's really kind guy, fantastic guy, super guy, always available, but it's my friend. You know, it's a bit like friend zoning someone. Unfortunately, it happens to a lot of us, being in that friend zone. Yeah, it was a bit that answer that he gave. Danilo, great, experienced, important to all of us, but let's see what the team is needing game per game per game. Then the question about Adzic and the youth. He said Adzic trained really well. He had good answers to the test because we did a test during the week. Nobody spoke about it because we didn't know. So again, big secrets from Thiago. What about the youth? Well, it depends on themselves. I don't look at age. I don't look at nationality. I look at the moment, how they are feeling, how they are ready at the moment where we need them. If they will need some time, they will receive some time. But it's true that they are bringing a lot of enthusiasm, even if it's also true that they need still these experienced players. And he went with 4 names in that order. Danilo, Federico, speaking about Gatti, Bremer, Cambiaso. He didn't speak about Locatelli. I always thought in these days that tomorrow Locatelli would have gone with the captain armband. But when he spoke about the people that were there as a reference for the youth, he didn't mention Locatelli. Did he just forgot? Is it intentional? Is it because Locatelli needs to focus on himself first? I have no idea. So I'm really curious about that answer. Why he didn't go with Manuel Locatelli, for example, but he remembered about the Cambiaso, for example. So pay attention to this name and also the order. So again, putting Danilo as first is also a show of respect. You know, like, I know you are the captain of the team. You are officially the captain of the team. Even if you are not a starter, you're still that captain, and you bring so much to the team also off the field. Then he spoke about Dusan Vlahovic. Dusan Vlahovic, we must help him. He must help us. And then he continues saying, it's really interesting what it brings, because every single day he comes with a big smile, with a lot of enthusiasm, with a lot of positive energy. Again, that word positive energy, which is extremely important to us. And now we are at the end of the video where I reveal you what Thiago Motta is writing. Look, I really paid attention. A lot of time he has his pen, like, I'm about to write, but then I don't write. I think it's also to put the journalist in difficulty. But when he's really writing, when he's noting something, not a Roman, but just something, 3 times. The first time about Douglas Luiz and Koopmeiners, because he also spoke about Douglas Luiz and Koopmeiners, about that question. He said there are 2 players, 2 big players that we have at the moment. We will see tomorrow who will start. And that's also the only time in press conference where he had a smile. Looks like he's really happy that Cristiano jointly brought him and Douglas Luiz and the Koopmeiners. Really happy about them. So tomorrow, I think maybe if I start to understand Thiago, that these 2 players are starting tomorrow. The only smile of the 13-minute long press conference. That's one time that he wrote something. You know, like, okay, Douglas Luiz, Koopmeiners, I like that question. Then, about Danilo, the importance of Danilo, he wrote something. And the third time was about Rabiot, Gazzetta dello Sport. So I think he's really starting to note, to write when journalists are asking questions about individuals, but more than that, it's more like, okay, that's a really interesting question, I like. Or this is a question to create trouble. This is a question to put a bit of controversy in the life, ready to start writing something bad about Juve. So it's really like, okay, maybe he already has, the names of the journalists that are present in columns, and okay, that's a question. I don't like that question. It's not the first time. And then at the end of the, the month, or in 2 months, or maybe in the first trimester, going with, okay, oh, look at that, that journalist every single time, tack, 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 tack. He's the one that is putting, you put a minus when it's a negative question, you put a plus when it's a really positive question. Like, okay, that journalist there, I'm prepared to already know what I will tell him, and I will probably already use the pen before he asks to put him in trouble. Guys, 3 times, huh? Douglas Luiz Koopmeiners, Danilo question that was a bit difficult, and Rabiot question that was out of this world. Let me know what you think about the press conference, about that macro theme, about are we also responsible for what sometimes media tries to do, searching, hunting for that big title? Let me know if we need to change or not. Grazie, forza, Juve.